This week on Vaticano, Lithuanians are getting ready to welcome the guest of the year, Pope Francis. Stay with us to learn about how the WorldPriest Apostolate supports the priesthood with millions of Hail Mary prayers every year. And recall with us the canonization of the greatest missionary of the 20th century, Saint Mother Teresa. For this and more, Vaticano starts now. Vilnius, Lithuania, this tiny square at the center of the Lithuanian capital, in a few days will be flooded with thousands of young pilgrims coming from the entire Baltic region. They will come to participate in the biggest local Catholic event of the century, the meeting with the Holy Father, Pope Francis. We asked some Lithuanians what they think about the upcoming papal visit.
We are very happy about that, and especially because Pope gonna spend 2 days in Vilnius and only 1 day in Latvia and 1 day in Estonia. So we are glad that he will spend most of his time in Lithuania.
We think we're very lucky because we've been waiting for many years.
I think he's a very good inspiration to many people.
It would be interesting for me to know what is his biggest inspiration, like how he inspires also other people.
I think he's a very simple human person and talking very easy way, so everybody can understand him.
Yeah, I would like to see if it will be not too crowded. And, a lot of people would like to see him.
I would like, yes, to thank him for all he does.
While Lithuanians prepare for the biggest event of the year, Pope Francis is following his usual schedule at the Vatican. During the meeting with the consecrated widows, the Holy Father underscored how their path can be difficult, but at the same time very fruitful.
Your consecration in widowhood is a gift that the Lord gives to His Church to remind all the baptized that the power of His merciful love is the path of life and holiness, which allows us to overcome trials and be reborn in hope and in the joy of the gospel.
The mission of the consecrated widows is to intercede for couples and affirm the sustainability of married love. The new ambassador of the Czech Republic to the Holy See, Mr. Václav Kolája, presented his credentials to Pope Francis, officially starting his diplomatic mission. The Holy Father handed the ambassador 4 copies of his writings. In his turn, Mr. Kolája presented the Pope with glass vessels personally made by his father. The Czech Republic is one of the least religious countries in Europe, with a population of about 10 million people. 37% are atheists, and 1/10 are Catholics. Before the Wednesday general audience, Pope Francis met with a delegation of motorcyclists competing in the Grand Prix Octo on September the 9th along the Italian Adriatic coast. Addressing the sportsmen, the Holy Father said sport is a great educational tool for young people. Young people of today need to become champions in life, he said, and they should live it with passion.
Contagiate la passione. Questo mondo ha bisogno delle passioni.
Contage with passion. This world needs passions. It needs passion. Live with passion, not like those who carry life as a burden. Passion means going forward.
Pope Francis invited all people involved in the various levels of sport to promote human and Christian values in society.
África es un continente rico, pero la riqueza más grande, más valiosa de África son los jóvenes. Ellos deben poder elegir entre dejarse vencer por la dificultad o transformar la dificultad en una oportunidad. El camino más eficaz para ayudarlos en esta elección es invertir en su educación. Si un joven no tiene posibilidades de educación, ¿qué podrá hacer en el futuro? Pidamos para que los jóvenes del continente africano tengan acceso a la educación y al trabajo en sus propios países.
The Pope's video is an initiative developed by the Pope's Worldwide Prayer Network in order to spread the Holy Father's monthly intentions related to the various challenges faced by humanity. Thanks for watching. Get ready to take a look at Holy See diplomacy in action. Welcome back. You're watching Vaticano.
This is part 2 of our recent report, Religions, Creeds and Other Value Systems, a conference that took place at the end of June at the United Nations, Geneva. The focus was to move towards greater spiritual union worldwide in support of equal citizenship rights.
I affirm my own belief and that of many of the major faith traditions whose leaders and experts have joined us today, that we do believe human rights came from heaven, based on our certain faith that God created all people in his image and likeness and gave both a unique identity as well as equal rights and fundamental freedoms to all creatures.
Now, in order to live in peace as one happy family, so to speak, we need to understand each other. But in today's world, we see almost everywhere ignorance about the other. It's all about me, it seems.
It's very true. There's a great deal of ignorance in the world today, and a lot of it is because we cut ourselves off from each other. And you know, Pope Francis speaks all the time about the culture of indifference, and so I think that's really the goal that we need to have in today's world, is to get to know the other, and not simply as the other, but as a person, just as we are, and then to build relationships and to build solidarity through that.
The general principles of international law are under threat. And it is important that we also as religious leaders give them weight, but also that we emphasize training and education in citizenship. Citizenship is more than just a principle. It is a way of living together. And we have to contribute to that through education.
The religious and secular worlds are separated by a huge gap in knowledge and trust. And too often, religion is seen as a problem, not part of the solution. We estimate that 5 billion people have a religious identity. Religious leaders need to be able to represent their communities' best interest in dialogue with policymakers to achieve sustainable and positive change such as equal human rights.
The co-executive secretary of the sponsoring committee of this event suggested to set up an entire agency task force on equal citizenship rights at the level of the United Nations.
This interagency task force would look at the successful policies that have been adopted by states in order to advance the cause of equal citizenship rights, and would also warn against the failures of other states to deal with them.
The Hindu vision considers that all religions, all creeds, all belief systems share a common origin, and all are the constituents of the same nature, share a common biological space. No one is superior or exclusive to other, since it is a manifestation of one non-dual divine principle.
We are in a difficult situation with the rise of populism, the rise of fundamentalism. We are also in a fortunate position to have courageous leaders like Pope Francis, who has taken some very enlightening initiatives in this field, and this is a particularly appropriate time. Therefore, with his support and that of all those that share his mission with him, to promote this spiritual convergence worldwide.
Isn't that exactly what so many Europeans and Americans fear most? The integration of refugees and migrants in their countries?
Well, there's certainly a lot of fear among many different areas of the world that are receiving refugees and migrants. But integration doesn't mean taking away or losing. It really means, as Pope Francis tells us, it's a two-way situation. It's a two-way process. So it means that, yes, host countries reach out and help the newcomer. And finally, Pope Francis reminds the immigrants and the refugees that they have responsibility to live within the law of that new country and also to respect the people who are receiving them.
The conclusion of the participants: love of one's neighbor and even of the stranger, respect for the dignity and diversity of people, doing unto others what one would like to be done unto oneself, the basis for the affirmation of equal citizenship rights.
The ministry of the priesthood is the key ministry in the Catholic Church. During the celebration of the sacraments, the priest represents Christ himself. However, after obtaining such grace and honor, they yet remain human beings who need our spiritual support and prayers. Every Catholic should ask themselves, am I praying for my pastor who nourishes me with the Eucharist and forgives my sins? The WorldPriest Apostolate founder, Marian Mulhall, says that the apostolate was established exactly for supporting the priestly ministry.
We should pray for our priests every single day, that they will be holy, that they will be sanctified, because we need holy priests. We want our priests to be sanctified. We want them to be holy, and it's all the prayers of the people of the whole world. God only knows the effect of 700 million Hail Marys having been prayed.
The WorldPriest Apostolate invites everyone to pray for the sanctification of priests in many ways. Their daily prayer commitments, weekly Rosary Thursdays, and the grand annual worldwide Rosary Relay.
This year was absolutely stunning, what Our Lady did with the little efforts that we could possibly do, which was everything that we could give, we gave to it. This year there was 189 single prayer locations at shrines dedicated to Our Lady, basilicas, cathedrals, churches, people's homes. As the Venerable Father Patrick Peyton always said, the family that prays together stays together. So we encourage people, they can pray from their home. So that's another way, as I said. But this year, it was just quite extraordinary what happened. 12 to 14 million people from all over the world, from all the 79 approximate countries who all prayed.
The mechanics behind the annual Rosary Relay are simple. A community in one location prays a particular mystery of the Rosary at the beginning of the hour. The next group begins a half an hour later in a different location, and so forth. In this way, a 24-hour petition prayer for the sanctification of priests covers not only the whole day, but the entire world. Everyone is welcome to join in the next 10th edition of the Rosary Relay Day, which will take place on the Feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, June the 28th, 2019.
So in terms of joining, it actually belongs to everybody. But the main way that we can communicate this great back news out to everybody is for more and more and more people to join our newsletter, you know, and be kept up to speed every month and feel part of the community. So we basically invite every priest to please sign up to the newsletter so that they're kept informed and they realize, you know, the activities within the apostolate, because it's ongoing, an ongoing development, like worldwide.
Pope Francis is aware of the apostolate and in full support. 2 years ago, during the Jubilee Year of Mercy, he personally thanked the apostolate by greeting Marian. Since then, the link with the Vatican has strengthened, and every year the WorldPriest Apostolate communicates their activities by sending mail to the Holy Father.
Only last week I received a lovely letter back from the Secretariat of State stating that the Holy Father had read our communication and that was most pleased, and that was yet again extending his blessing to all involved in this great work in supporting priesthood.
O Mary, Queen of the Clergy, pray for us. Obtain for us many holy priests. In a few moments, we'll be back with more on Vaticano. More on Vaticano begins now. Years ago, in September, the Communion of Saints was joined by one of the greatest Christian examples of our time, Saint Mother Teresa.
Enixas gratias ago, de pronunciatione a sanctitate vestra facta, ac humiliter peto, ut eadem sanctitas vestra, super per acta canonizatione, litteras apostolicas dignetur decernere.
The beatification process of the humble founder of the Missionaries of Charity commenced in July of 1999, only 2 years after her death, by the decision of St. Pope John Paul II. The Vatican's Congregation for the Causes of Saints appointed Father Brian Kolodacek to be apostolator of the cause.
113 witnesses, and I came to Rome with roughly 35,000 pages, 81 volumes of roughly 450 pages each, and that was the raw data, which is actually very good. You know, I think it was providential that we were able to do the cause so soon, and so everything was fresh. People still had their memories, documents were available.
The decisive miracle in this beatification process happened in India in 2002. An Indian woman was healed from a tumor in the abdomen after the application of a medallion containing Mother Teresa's picture. Dr. Siba Bardhan from Calcutta was a part of the medical commission that was charged with studying the miracle. The doctors had to explain this fast recovery from a scientific point of view.
I had to do a lot of research on this to find out the truth about how the tumor could, just go away in a few seconds. And it took me a toil of more than few months, where the patient, Monica Bestro, had to come to my clinic and had to re-examine her, and I had to do all over the investigations I had to do with her, and I want to check on completely what is the situation now and how I am going to give my opinion. So after that, I took the opinion of many doctors also, because I felt like I was very concentrated to my domain. So I had to talk with many doctors of different speciality, and who were the top doctors of Calcutta. And then I had to come to the conclusion that this is something which which I cannot explain through the medical terms.
Doctors are only asked their medical opinion. Like for the first miracle in India, in Calcutta, we had 11 witnesses, and 10 were Hindu doctors and 1 Catholic. So the doctors, they may have an opinion whether it's a miracle or not, but they're not asked that.
On October the 19th, 2003, Mother Teresa was beatified by Pope St. John Paul II. 5 years after, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the second miracle attributed to the intercession of Blessed Mother Teresa took place.
The miracle was a man, mechanical engineer, who was diagnosed in September with a bacterial infection in the brain, which led to multiple abscesses, and that caused hydrocephaly. So the abscesses were blocking the water, the liquid on the brain from going where it's supposed to go.
Marcilio and Fernanda were just married when Marcilio suddenly started to feel ill.
No dia 9 de dezembro, acordei com uma forte dor de cabeça.
On December the 9th, I woke up with a strong headache, unbearable. I couldn't speak, but I asked my wife and told her, "Pray for me, because my head is bursting."
Eu tinha uma relíquia da Madre que eu havia ganhado.
I had a relic of Mother Teresa that the parish priests had given me before getting married. I put the relic on Marcilio's head where he had the abscesses. I recited the prayer of beatification and also what came from my heart.
Simplesmente acordei no centro cirúrgico.
I woke up in the operating room without the headache. I looked around and I asked, "What am I doing here?"
O que eu estou fazendo aqui?
Quando eu retornei no hospital no dia seguinte,
When, the day after, I returned to the hospital, the doctor was waiting for me with Marcilio's parents. He told me that he was stable and that he had returned to his room. He didn't tell me that he was cured, but I already knew it strongly from what I had prayed to God through the intercession of Mother Teresa.
When I began to feel sick, Fernanda and I had been recently married. The doctor told me that we wouldn't be able to have children because of the treatments which I would have to undergo. 6 months after the recovery, I returned to work. Then we transferred to Rio. 1 month after the transfer to Rio, Fernanda began to have nausea. We went to the doctor, and when he told us she's pregnant, we responded, "It can't be."
eu sinto uma gratidão.
I feel an enormous gratitude when I see Marcilio and our children. I thank God and Mother Teresa each time I look at them. Each time I see them, my gratitude grows. I am sure that all the prayers were heard by God and that He always gives us His love.
Before the eyes of the entire world, Pope Francis proclaimed Mother Teresa a saint on September the 4th, 2016. About 150,000 people from all over the world gathered in Rome. 15 official government delegations and 1,500 homeless people were among them, together witnessing how a humble nun became a great saint, Teresa of Calcutta, the mother of the poorest of the poor.